Time.
I'm bumming it.
Yes. Okay, we're live. People got to enjoy you saying that for some reason.
Because you were going bum.
Shh, quiet. Don't let the madness take you. The madness has already taken you. Hi, welcome everyone to Discussing Tabletop. It is August 19th, 2017, our 42nd episode, so it is, hey, the meaning of life, as Joe has managed to say correctly.
Well, it's the answer to the meaning of life. We don't know what the question is.
Oh, that's right, we don't know the question. Well, we have the answer at least, so hey, we're on the right track. We've managed to learn that as much.
42.
42, exceed. So, anyway, welcome. Unfortunately, this week we had a guest I was lining up, had to cancel out, and hopefully we'll be rescheduling for a time. But for now, me and Joe will lead you on our discussion topics, as we do have quite a few interesting ones to talk about, based upon the news from this week. So, we will be talking about Pathfinder, the Elemental Mastery book. It's a new handbook out from them, and I do want to talk about my opinion on the Kinetisist for Pathfinder. Just a little bit of a rant I will give there. We do want to talk about the Monarchies of Mau, the cat-based follow-up to Onyx Path Pugmire, which was a dog-based RPG. I want to talk about Freeway Warrior Highway Holocaust, because, we all want to be Mad Max at some point in time, and that's definitely going to be a Mad Max-based game. And then we have two board/card games left that we want to talk about. Wind Up War, a board game based upon, toys battling it out for supremacy, and Fantasy Realms.
So it's the movie Toys.
A little bit of that one. And then Fantasy Realms, which is a card game based upon having the best fantasy realm, but it's basically having a hand of 7 cards worth the most points representing that. So we'll dive into all of these discussions more. And if you have any questions or comments about any of these, please send us in chat. We're checking it out. We'll answer them. And if you have any big questions that are discussion based for the end of the show, go ahead and remember them and let us know too. So why don't we dive into Pathfinder Elemental Masters Handbook. Okay. So this one, it has some interesting things that have been released as part of it. First off, Genie Binder Prestige class. Now, Prestige classes, I know, are kind of like a grandfather in from 3.5, really, I feel like, for Pathfinder. But they tried to still make them interesting enough that you might want to take them. And this one is basically controlling genies and using them to create powerful elemental effects and seals and things like that. Which, if you are familiar with Pathfinder at all, genies aren't all the wish-giving genie types. They have various abilities, and various types of them, from Ifrits to... I'm not remembering any other ones other than the Ifrits, the fiery evil ones.
Jinns? Oh, no.
Jinns, yes, you're right. I think Jinns is one of them. Very correct there. Anyway, then it also has new archetypes for Bard, Ranger, Rogue, and Monk, and a few others. Like a Flame Singer Bard seems cool. There's a special kind of diving Ranger that I guess doesn't need to breathe. Because they do them all the 4 elements. A stone-wielding Rogue, and a wind-based Monk, basically an airbender. But that's not the actual airbender. That's when we get to the Kinetisist, because apparently they have new Kinetisist feats, infusions, and utility wild talents.
I want to be a woodbender.
They technically exist, according to
Yes.
Avatar: The Last Airbender? Yeah.
Well, also, wood is one of the things you can master. It's
Oh, yes.
yeah.
In Kinetisist.
And you can gain Wood Blast.
Yeah, Kinetisist... I'm not gonna... That's pretty dumb.
I'll blast you with my wood.
Yeah, it's kind of...
That's all I have to say.
Yeah. Oh, occult classes. You're not all terrible, but Kineticist, there's something wrong with you, Kineticist. I'm gonna say that. I guess that's a newer one, because normally it's Aether, Air, Earth, Fire, Water, which all of them sound pretty cool, but I have had now experience with a couple of them, and my experience with understanding what Aether has is far worse. Because apparently they can get, like, I can disintegrate something. Or...
Well, there's also Void.
I think these are probably newer ones that aren't on the...
This is on the PFSRD.
Okay. I haven't seen them just, generally speaking. Oh,
it taps into the negative energy plane.
Oh, I see, yeah. The Void and Wood ones that they've added on since the original. I don't know what book that is. It's not the Occult Adventures. Occult Origins.
Ah, yes. Okay,
Mm-hmm. But... So, apparently there's really interesting abilities for Kinetisist that make me want to complain about it. First off, as I said, there is the ability for an Aether to learn how to disintegrate something. And the entire class is around basically taking damage themselves. Burn, as it's called. There are ways that you can mitigate large amounts of burn, and I've seen you can get to a point in time where effectively you can almost use disintegrate at will with them, fairly close to it. And that's not the worst part of it, because that's pretty bad. That I could be like, oh, well, I'm just like, disintegrate blasting with my Aether. It gets kind of worse, unfortunately.
Oh, Omni Kinesis at 20th level.
Mm-hmm.
You take 1 point of burn, and you can turn any talent into another one.
Disintegrating Inferno is normally 4 burn. And you can mitigate that down very, very...
To 1.
Very easily to 1. I think you can technically mitigate it down to 0.
Ugh.
Yes. Which means you can disintegrate at will.
That's just wrong.
Uh-huh. That's one of the first reasons. Second reason is... Okay, that's gross on damage level. So we're gross on damage level. The other thing I want to definitely rant about it with is the fact that apparently Kinetisists I don't know if it's in general, but they have a way of... I think it's one of the general, talents they can get. Allows them to add their level to skills based upon their elements. And the dumbest thing I've heard is, like, some of the elements add really dumb skills, and there are ways to manipulate it into adding more skills into this list. Like, you could get it that you add your Kinetisist level to something like Knowledge Engineering. Why is my Mastery of Aether giving me this ability?
I don't know. There was like a Mastery of Lightning, maybe?
Yeah, but no, apparently it's skill abilities that you could pull out of your rectum and, here it is.
Also, Aether Saturation is just gross.
Oh, here it is. Skilled Kineticist and Skilled Kineticist Greater. You gain a bonus equal to half your Kineticist level on skill checks with skills in your primary element added to your class skill list. You can use the knowledge skill associated with the primary element to identify elementals. And the greater is choose one Kineticist class skill that isn't granted by a primary element and also receive a bonus to that skill. Okay, so it is only... I think there's another way of, making it... I don't remember what it is. I think there's a way of also increasing it that it's more than half of your level or something. And that's no burn, and you just have to be like, these 2 utility powers and be like, well, you know what? I get to profession cook because I have greater skilled Kineticist. I get my, Kineticist level to it or something stupid like that. Or even if it's half your level, it's pretty gross, but, I'm pretty sure I remember from hearing about this, there's some kind of stupid way to make it your full level.
I'm wondering what Wood would give you. I think it's nature.
I mean...
Which would make sense. Oh, class skills would be not... Well, class skills synonyms as knowledge nature and handle animal.
So those would be the ones you get it to.
Yeah. Which at least that kind of makes sense, except handle animal, because how does wood help you handle animals?
Exactly.
I know how to use wood, so I know about that animal. I know how to be diplomatic to that animal with wood.
You're gonna wood up that animal? That animal likes to really see my wood. Thank you very much.
Well, maybe if it's a dog, you play fetch with it?
God. Mm-hmm. Man. Kinetisist kind of hurts my soul.
Oh, God. Wood Blast is hilarious. You lash out with B-O-U-G-S. Boughs, like boughs of a tree.
Mm-hmm.
Vines, or a deluge of stinging blossoms, or blooms. Stinging blooms.
Wow. That's
That's woody.
Yeah. But that's some nice stuff there that you got. Your wood blast.
Oh, there's also mud blast.
Wow.
You can infuse your water into the earth to create a powerful ball of mud and slam a single foe.
I think the point of it is, like, granted, it seems like there's a lot of ridiculousness to it, and I know it's a lot of flavor. It's just, like, certain things seem really dumb ideas. You know?
Like, how about, there's also Spring and Summer Blast. Spring Blast, sharp blossoms are pummeling seeds, and pummeling seeds buffet your foe, or buff your foe. And Summer Blast, a burning blast of heat and sun-dried foliage tears at your foe.
Wow.
There's also Winter, but I don't see a Fall Blast.
Too bad. Fall isn't good enough.
Oh, there is an Autumn Blast. There it is.
Oh, it's Autumn
A
Blast.
burst of fallen leaves and earthly decay batters a single foe.
I think it's just the sheer fact that you take a look at some of these, like, abilities, and some of them are like, okay, yeah, got you. But, like, others I feel like they get to very ridiculous levels of silliness.
Yes.
And you get bunches of utility talents and fusions and stuff like that over the course of levels. You get a lot of them. So, on the course of your adventures, you, like, get pretty ridiculous with elemental abilities. I feel like maybe if they scaled back the amount of... I just don't know. Like, I don't like Kinetisist.
Oh, fragmentation is gross. You throw a violent sphere of solid matter that shatters into countless shards, attempting a ranged attack roll against a target within 120 feet. You hit, the target takes your kinetic blast damage with no saving throw. All other creatures and objects within 20-foot burst take half the normal amount of damage and can attempt a reflex. If the attack misses the target, the blast has no effect. Blah, 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 blah. But, ouch.
Okay, so I think the disintegration is a little better because it's just the double the normal kinetic blast. Okay, kinetic...
Okay, so it's not like true...
like disintegration.
It's not like you're casting disintegration.
No, but kinetic blast, I think, is still going to be a lot of dice of damage because it is, what kind of damage is it? Damn it. Do they tell me how much damage it does? That's a question I can't figure out, apparently, off the top of my head.
I think it's... Well, you have to look at your kinetic burst power. Kinetic blast, the first level. As a standard action... It doesn't say.
I know. Oh, kinetic blast.
Second part.
Simple blasts. No, okay. Oh god, it's worse than sneak attack. It does 1d6 plus 1 plus your Kinetisist Constitution modifier, and it increases by 1d6 plus 1 for every 2 levels beyond under Simple Blasts.
Where does it say it?
Under Simple Blasts, Wild Talents.
Oh, why doesn't it say it under Kinetic Blast?
Because they want to confuse you! Spell resistance doesn't apply against physical blasts, energy blasts, or ranged touch attacks that deal amount of damage equal to d6 plus half the Kinesis Con modifier, increasing by d6 for every 2 levels. So depending on if it's physical or energy, it still increases every odd level. So it's sneak attack to a maximum of 20d6 disintegration damage that you can do.
Ow.
Pretty much at will.
That's just
I'm sorry.
wrong.
Even if we're talking about like 9th level, which I think you have 5 then, I believe. 1, 3, 5, 7, 9. Yeah. That's still 10d6 against anything of that CR you can do per round. And I think there
is a possible 600.
It'd be 60
No,
per
60.
round.
I'm sorry.
Oh, but it says it's disintegration. You'd also add half your con modifier to that. But I think there's ways of like doing multiple blasts too.
Thank you, Pathfinder, for falling into the same pit traps that 3.5 did.
This is like the main pit trap I've seen about it, is the unfortunate thing. Like, I haven't seen a lot of major pit traps up until now. And the fact is, I hadn't been focusing on things like the Kinetisist as much.
Well, we've seen some pit traps where certain combinations can get out of control. Mm-hmm. Which we discovered because a friend of ours who liked to get really, 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 really weird with his characters and try to find the little loopholes that he can. Mm-hmm. So, Pathfinder has had it in them to, at times have fallen into that 3.5 pit trap of having things that could become too powerful. This one's just more blatant.
Well, that's like 3.5. By the end, they were just blatant because it was like the Manual of War or something, was it? The book that had like the Tome of Battle. Tome of Battle at the end of the Book of the Nine Swords, at the end of 3.5, where they had all the martial adepts,
Yeah.
which were just... all of them were ridiculous and kind of stupid. Like, I'm sorry. They got to this point in time where, like, you just do 100 damage. There's no dice, no anything special about it. They just do a certain amount of dice damage. Bam. Call it a day.
Which makes me think of the joke class that we joked about creating, Cloud Lord.
Well, I think that's why when we saw it, we're like, so they made
Cloud Lord? You do 100 damage and turn into a cockroach.
Well, I thought it was turn into a cockroach and do 100 damage.
Oh. Vice versa. I'm sorry. I had it backwards. Oh, no.
No, it's okay. It's okay to have it backwards. But, no, I think it's the sheer fact that that jumped the shark, I feel like. At that point in time, they had sort of, like, gone over this hurdle of insanity. And Pathfinder has had mistakes, but it's also because they've fallen into the pit trap of lots of supplements. When you have a lot of stuff, you can't compare everything to everything, and you never know how things combined up sometimes. And I mean, again, it's up to your GM at some points in time to catch these things and correct the problems, or say like, that's not allowed. There you go. But you have to understand what it is. Like, I've been slowly understanding Kinetisist. I had our friend Justin play it one time in a Pathfinder game I was trying to do, and it was just bleh. And I've heard tales of him doing another one, which is where a lot of this information I've been coming up with has been from. So, the, like, knowledge engineering one was the dumbest thing I heard. But, like, the fact that you could, like, get this bonus to anything.
Yeah.
It's like, what? What? Kineticists just seem like they're easy to break, is the problem. rather than, them being a necessarily broken class, they just seem too easy to break. And I think that's the major problem I have with them.
Yeah.
I would like for them to be better. It has like a cool flavor to it. Like it is really feels like it's the if you're looking for Avatar: The Last Airbender, you can play one of the benders pretty much, or something similar to one of them. The air kineticist feels like an airbender. The water, etc., etc. The Aether is like a unique one, and I feel like wood and void are kind of weird, but have more Eastern feel to them, because wood is technically a traditional element in some circles, but so would be metal. So I'm surprised they haven't done metal as its own thing too.
Oh, they do.
Is that under Earth, I guess, that you can specialize in metal?
There's metal blasts and stuff that you can do.
But that's the thing, is like they have it specifically under Earth then. Well, it's technically in some of the... I can't remember all the things, but I know in some circles it was its own element.
Because I saw that they had metal blasts.
Well, I mean, that's fine then. That...
metal, is under Earth. It's
okay.
A composite blast.
Ah, okay.
Primary Earth, expanded element Earth, damage, bludgeoning, piercing, and slashing. You shape metal into clump shards, blades, and send them flying.
Which, I mean, the composite ones are neat too, because then you get some of the more interesting kind of elemental type things that are out there. So I mean, those are cool. But again, it's like Aether and Void are like weirdly out there. I haven't seen, because again, I haven't
No dying.
Sorry about that. Let me drink some water, because apparently I'm trying to die.
You're not allowed to die, not on air.
No, it's unpleasant to do. Oh, that was unpleasant. Hurrah!
Okay.
Yeah, I think I hurt my chest with that one, actually. I was saying Void, I haven't seen enough of to know where it breaks. Aether, I've easily seen where it breaks,
Right.
The other ones, not as much either, even though all of them do have their horrible abuses that I've seen. 2 is the only thing. I don't know. I'm just not a big supporter of Kinetisist. I think I have to say, I would say no to someone playing one, like off the bat. Just be like, nope, no playing a Kinetisist. Sorry, folks. I dislike it. And I haven't even seen what is offered in the Elemental Master's Handbook for a Kineticist, is the problem. It's sort of like,
right.
Well, what do you have there? What kind of horrors have you unleashed upon the world out of this thing? That's the question.
Yeah.
And it feels like they focused a lot on the Kineticist, which is cool because they are the elemental people, but then it's also terrible because of what we've seen already and what I've talked about. So it's like, well, what have they added in? But I guess I could talk about this for quite a while. Do you have any other opinions on it before we move on from topic?
Nah, we can move on.
Yeah. Yeah, let's move on, because I'm kind of tired of talking about the Kinetisist. Let's talk about the Monarchies of Mau. Now, I really wanted to talk about this one, not because it has been necessarily released, just because they have an early access release that's out. So, apparently, Monarchies of Mau, it's set in the same universe as the Pugmire RPG, if you know anything about that, which is basically a dog-based kingdoms, and these are cat-based monarchies. It's set in a world after humanity has gone away, they've been lost. I guess cats and dogs, and I don't know if there's any other creatures, because, again, I haven't played any of these, have gotten to the point in time where they are, like, the level of people, like, intelligent-wise, and basically learning to use leftover human technology, and like magic, I guess, too, in a way exists, which kind of is interesting. Which they believe is given to them by their lost worshippers. And they're trying to build a cohesive nation, but there are basically these 6 monarchies, I believe it is, of cats that are competing with each other. Yes. One nation, but they're always in disagreement and at odds with each other.
One nation under Paul?
Yes. But they have a pre-release copy, an advanced look at the game, which they have for sale. I'm noting that now. It is technically for sale. Both PDF and softcover can be bought. So that's one of the big things about it, is you would still have to buy it, but you could try playing an early version of the game. There are some highlights to it. It's a near complete rule book, so that's what they're saying. I guess this might be to help out with the final development, that people could be testing things out. Okay. It talks about interacting with dogs. Apparently rats are a species too. Okay, there you go. And monsters that roam the landscape. Talks about the various houses and, I guess, callings, which are their versions of jobs. Traditional fantasy rules system for streamlined plays of heroic cats with cooperation and action over violence and competition. And it's supposed to be more family-friendly. I guess in a way, I automatically feel like it would be, because cats. I mean, that sort of makes you feel like it should be, but I think they kickstarted it before they've got it out. They might have. They did. So, I don't know if it was kickstarted before Onyx Path picked it up, or... Because it got all the money it wanted, so it might have already been part of Onyx Path, and because they've kickstarted a few things that are more unusual to get them out there, I know. And, I mean, their artwork just says it's, like, vaguely cat people in clothing. They're very cat. It's like, you think about, like, Khajiit or something, and they're a little more cat than Khajiit from Elder Scrolls. So, yeah.
Why are cats screwing everything in every universe?
But did you want to be a cat venturer?
No. I don't need an entire game designed for that. A race in it, fine. An entire game, overkill.
I mean, there are plenty of gaming systems that are very unusual that you feel like would be better anyway, as more adapted, rather than being their own thing but still exist. I think this is something that happens. And according to the
Kickstarter... you have a company that owns World of Darkness.
They don't technically own World of Darkness. White Wolf still owns it. They just have Onyx Path do all their print side things.
Okay, you have one that's doing all the printing for World of Darkness.
Yes.
And for stuff.
And a few other things. They do some unusual things too.
It's just a weird combination.
Mm-hmm. No, I agree.
How about vampire cats?
They might exist. Hard to say with what all the monsters and stuff they put together. I mean, they do have... They say it's a customized version of 5th edition rules.
Yeah, I saw it uses all the same dice and everything.
So I'm curious as to how they've customized it, and if it's like that, I already have an understanding of how, like, I guess some of the game's systems work. I'm guessing you have, like, maybe breeds of cat or something. I don't know.
Yeah.
For races.
They have total, like, regular cat heads, which just looks really weird on a humanoid body.
Yeah.
They did not try to, like, humanize the face at all. It's just like, hey, cat head.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, cat head on vaguely humanoid bodies.
Which makes me wonder how they talk, because they don't have lips.
Shh. Maybe they do have lips, and they just don't see that they have lips because it looks mostly cat head, and it's not truly cat head.
They don't look like they have lips.
Well, they might not. So, whatever. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
I mean...
Yeah, and they require some remnants of human technology, gifts of magic, things like that, just to make it, like, really weird. So I'm guessing it'll have some, like, hints of probably human culture like maybe we had.
Okay, wait. So this is Planet of the Cats, then?
Yes, it's Planet of the Cat. Well, it's Planet of the Pets, because it's cats, dogs, and rats, apparently. Maybe some other animal-based races are out there, but cats, dogs, and rats are the three that I've seen.
Cats.
Mm-hmm. Cats.
Planet of the House Pets.
Yeah, and apparently some hate the dogs still, others still enjoy them, or still would prefer to work with the dogs.
How do they feel about the rats?
I don't know. I'm only getting stuff from, like, the Kickfighter
I would
page
assume
and
they're
stuff.
food.
Well, maybe not. I mean, dogs and cats working together, blah, 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 all that stuff,
Well, from the pictures, they don't seem to be having a good time together. And there seems to still be regular types of rats.
Yeah, I noticed that too.
They're like people rats and they're rats.
So it might be like, I have seen things where there's like cat people and stuff, or like bird people, and then there are like actual birds and cats and stuff, and you're like, that's weird. Are you just like, are you related to them? Are you related? Not just Disney. I've seen it other than Disney.
Well, no, but I'm saying, what is it, Disney? Because, you have Pluto and then you have Goofy.
No, well, yeah. Well, I also saw, because of nostalgia, I saw the new DuckTales, and they had a seagull and Donald Duck next to each other, and I'm like...
That's still Disney.
I know, but I'm saying it's also... But also there was a
Yes.
video game that I had seen, Night in the Woods, where they had, like, cat people, and there were actual cats around, too.
If a cat person owned a cat, would that be slavery?
I don't know. I'm thinking it's like a human owning a monkey, maybe, or something. Maybe it's related like that, People do. People don't like it, but people do own monkeys. Give me a second. Entertain the crowd for 3 seconds while I find out what chaos is going on.
Hello, crowd. Does anyone in there have an opinion on cat people and weirdness?
What was that one?
I said, hello, crowd. Does anyone have an opinion on cat people and weirdness?
I guess not. We have a mixed crowd right now that's kind of coming and going, so I don't know if anybody's here
And
right
quiet.
now. Yes. There are folks here, but they're quiet folks, which I'm fine with if you guys want to be quiet. We'll continue to talk and entertain you as best we can.
We'll dance like monkeys.
Ooh, 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 ooh. Anyway, so it could definitely be like that there are maybe rats and cats that are like lesser rats and cats that would be, your pets, I guess? I don't know. Apparently it's compatible with Pugmire, they say, too, so you could have, like, cat-dog teams going out there into the wild.
Can you have a cat dog?
I doubt that, and it depends on how... I guess it might be, like... People talk about, like, dwarves and elves breeding, but they don't actually ever show anything with that, ever, and it's only...
You had a character that did it?
Yes, and it was customized to that game, and we made up stats for it.
And I had a dwarf gnome.
Yes, again, it was customized to that game, and you just basically made it a gnome with slightly dwarvish features, pretty much. And I made, like... I didn't even design that, it was... Because it was an NPC that was my, like, character's daughter, the Dwelf. We just, like... our GM DM just assumed it would be horrific and ugly.
Yes. The dwarf with 7 beards.
I don't think she had 7 beards. I think she was beardless. She was just horrifically monstrous.
Yes.
I mean, I guess that's an advantage. ...
Not for propagating the species.
It's not a species because she may or may not have been sterile at the time.
I was gonna say, yeah, they could be sterile.
But she got transformed.
Just like if you had a cat dog, it may be sterile.
Well, she was transformed into a nymph anyway, so she got better.
Yes.
Then she could breed.
with
Fact is,
everything.
well, the fact is, by then I also had already gotten a shotgun wedding with one of the other characters, and he was like one of the other players, and he was like, "Score!" But no. So I mean, it's an interesting gaming system, I guess is the best way of putting it. I mean, we can't really say a lot. It's definitely it's early access now, and you can try it for yourself. And if you've tried Pugmire, you'll probably like this one a lot. And if you've tried neither of them, they are based on 5th edition. So that's what makes them very easy if you've played 5th edition, which is, I guess, the big popular one right now anyway. So there's more than likely most people that are checking us out have at least heard of 5th edition. It's an easy system. One of the easiest. So being based upon that means it's a very easy system to jump into. And a lot of probably what's in these books is going to be world setting stuff. And like special, I guess, classes, races, things like that. Set to the cat-based universe. So you can have your cat people adventures if you really want to.
You can have your cat and play it too.
Yes. That's both accurate and weirdly disturbing. So, Monarchies of Mau. The pre-release is out now if you want to check it out.
At least they didn't go with the horrible pun. They could have with Monarchies of Meow.
You didn't notice it kind of sounds like that? Mau?
A little bit.
Yeah.
But I'm saying they could have just straight out went meow.
Well, I think they were being subtle about it because I think they're a lot more subtle about everything, you know?
Yes. Just like Pugmire.
Yep. It's all that subtlety. So let's move on to the next topic. I don't know who this person is, but Joe Denver's Freeway Warriors and the big book that's out for it, Highway Havoc. I like saying it that way. I don't know who Joe Denver is to have released this book, but apparently it's his Freeway Warrior. So this one's an interesting one. We're set in the U.S. Civilization has ended, which they say again. And at least it wasn't Todd this time. It was the Agents of Havoc. That's abbreviated HAVOC. That exploded a bunch of nuclear weapons and devastated the land. And now it's decades later, and you are part of a group of survivors that have come to the surface. And in this, I guess, I don't know if this is an adventure. This first one that's out for it, I guess. So, is this an adaptation? They don't say it's an adaptation for something, so it might be its own small system, like a simple system.
Freeway Warrior, Highway Holocaust.
Highway Havoc. Yes.
There's also Highway Holocaust.
Oh, so that might be another book in the Highway... blah, blah, blah. I'm saying the names right always. It's Morpheus Games again, because Morpheus does a lot of this stuff. But it's a choose-your-own-adventure game book from Morpheus, where you're going from the Dallas Colony 1 to the California coast, where you're either going to be... or being wiped out by bandits and raiders along the way. So it's Mad Max.
It's also in Swedish.
Isn't Morpheus, like, Swedish, though, or something, too?
I think so. But I'm just saying they offer the books both in Swedish and...
Okay. So apparently Joe Denver's got a post-apocalyptic series, America 2033 AD. And this is the first choose-your-own-adventure version of it. Ooh. So... You've been living underground, trying to where the Earth heal itself, and the day you can walk on the surface, and that day has come, but then the battle survival has come. So it's like, I guess it's long enough after the nuclear war that you can come back out. And you focus as Cal Phoenix, the Freeway Warrior. This is weird, because I don't know what this game would qualify for. It feels role-playing gamey, but... It's like different too. There's like a nerd.
Oh, okay. Joe Dever wrote game books in the late '80s, but has updated the timeline and changed Cal Phoenix's story to fit into today's society.
Oh, so
the story takes place in a near future 2033 in the new edition of the series.
Okay.
So he created games like this in the 80s and now has updated them.
Okay. Gotcha. Alright. Interesting. Very interesting then. I see. Oh, so Highway Holocaust was one of his originally things for the Freeway Warriors.
Right.
Whoa. That was kind of weird. He's done little adventure things before. And like the Lone Wolf multiplayer gamebook system from Mongoose Publishing, which he was doing a couple years ago. And which they lost their license for it since then. But I can't see, like... Okay. So, alright. I don't even know how this game system would be played. That's one of those things about it. It's like, it's such a weird little... Because it's the first update of them.
Right. Yeah, it doesn't go into what the dice system or anything is.
It's based on the Lone Wolf system. Random tables, combat tables. Further level complexity, adding deeper skill sets, range combat. The Lone Wolf system was a series of games created by Joan Denver. This was the original, though, at least. I'm not sure about the update, if it's an updated version of this or not. And it sounds like this has versions that are multiplayer, or maybe you could play it on your own with the nature of it. I don't know, because unfortunately they just call it a choose your own adventure, adventure, and don't give a lot of information about that. So they have a character sheet for Cal Phoenix, but I don't know if they have any other folks with Cal Phoenix, is the only problem. Or if you're just playing Cal Phoenix on your own.
Which is weird, because then it's just like, it's a pre-made character with the pre-made adventure.
Yeah. And I'm trying to find out more information on it, but it's just not providing a lot, unfortunately.
No.
And, like, all the sources I've been looking at just don't help a lot at all. Huh. Freeway Warrior, let's see here. Oh, I think I found it. I found it in its... I found it in its Kickstarter form. Because got that same picture of the guy with the Texas shirt on the book.
Yeah.
And they're bringing back Joe Denver's post-apocalyptic game book series. And it's English and Swedish.
Yeah, that's where I was the Kickstarter.
Okay. Yeah.
But it still doesn't give you any information about, like, how the game's played or anything.
This is true. I think it's got to be an updated version of Lone Wolf, but it's really weird. I mean, it sounds like they're trying to release 4 books in the series. They got their money to, so they might be even releasing more. So we might see more along the way of all these things. Prepping a band of player characters to explore and adventure. So I think maybe for this one, because they are like putting out an actual like Freeway Warriors core book, maybe there might be other players, but you would have someone focus on like playing as what's his face? Cal Phoenix.
My name is Cal Phoenix.
Because he's part of the group, leading a group.
And I wear a Texas shirt.
Crossing as you cross the waste of Texas, I guess. Yes. On an exodus to the California coast, with bike riding Klansmen and other horror people out there. I'm
renaming him to Cal Texas then.
Well, it's like it also calls it like the Dallas Colony. Oh, it's Dallas Colony one, so it is Texas.
Okay, I'm going to call him Cal Dallas.
Yes.
So we can call him Dallas for short.
That's pretty cool. I just don't know if like the system's an updated Lone Wolf system. If I could find out actually how to play the Lone Wolf system.
I'm trying to find that information, and that's even...
Yeah, they don't actually tell you very easily. There's like a D20 adaptation of it.
I can use Daddy's.
What are you getting?
That's pretty big.
I can use his.
She can use Daddy's. It's pretty big.
I bought. He got mine, but I'm gonna buy it.
Oh yeah, Daddy's is
You did
pretty
hear that
big.
Derek's got to use your
What?
Derek's bringing back the van. He's got to use your car, right? That's your mother.
Daddy wanted my cup.
I haven't heard. Okay.
Daddy
You don't care.
wanted
I mean, you're okay with that.
Yes.
Yeah.
Pop-Ups.
Entertain them for a minute while I talk to people.
La 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 la. So, I'm still trying to look up things on Lone Wolf, but finding very little information, unfortunately. So, I think in a moment when he comes back, we are going to move on to our next topic.
Yes. Let's move on to our next topic since Lone Wolf as a system is, I guess we'd have to somehow find like old books of it somewhere online and try to like learn how to actually play it.
Yes.
And even
but I
then,
need you to entertain Solo for a moment because I need to run and do something real quick.
I'll probably introduce the next topic then or something.
That's
I'll finish up with this one.
I'll return quickly.
Yeah. So I guess my final thoughts about this one here, because it is interesting, is we don't know the system, if it's updated Lone Wolf or something else entirely, because it sounds like they have had adaptations of the system over the years anyway. There was a D20 version of Lone Wolf, which means there's got to be some compatibility between it. But then, I mean, that was the Mongoose publishing version of it, of Lone Wolf. I just don't know the original one and what kind of dice or whatever it would have been used for. Yeah. And apparently there's more to Lone Wolf and its complexities, but that... Give me a second here. Doesn't give us help with how it is nowadays. I'm trying to figure it out. I just don't know. I don't know about it. It's too weird. I think I want to move on, though, because we are confused about the entire thing here with Lone Wolf's system and what actual system Freeway Warriors uses, because no one says what kind of thing it is. That it's just you get an exclusive hardcore version of it, the first choose your adventure in the series, I guess, since the Kickstarter was successful and more of them will be coming out, but it is the only one out now, and it's one that we don't have a great example of the actual system at all. If you want to check it out, it's a cool setting. That's what I'm going to say about it. It looks like a very cool setting, very interesting. You can look up the old stuff that it's based upon, the old Freeway Warrior material. And if you want to check it out, just know that we're unsure unless the core book comes out, which seems to be coming soon, if you can do multiplayer for this first one.
What do you want?
And we are unsure of the exact role-playing game system right now because of the lack of information. Mophidius it doesn't provide a lot on the actual gaming system for Freeway Warriors right now. But let's move on, though. So, I want to introduce the next topic, which is... I have 2 board games we want to talk about before we finish up today, and the first one is Wind Up War. So, this is a 2 to 6 player game. It's supposed to be a short game. It's a game of cataclysmic toy combat. I guess that's the best way of describing it. That's the way they describe it. Effectively, it's like when the children are gone, rather than the toys will play, it's the toys will engage in a genocidal war with each other with hopes of destroying them and being the greatest group of toys there is. So, players create 3 units and plan out their moves in advance using various cards. Actions are revealed, everyone plays out their actions, and the winner gets a point of whatever set of actions you have. First to 3 points, or the last one with units on the table is the winner. And it is for sale now. It's made to play very fast. You're going to select one of 6 tiny toy factions decks. Then you get your 3 units. You plan out their attacks in 5 moves. Everybody reveals their actions. There's damage, victory points, broken gears. So, I mean, if you're the last one standing, you win, or the first to 3 points. And each faction deck has 30 cards in them, and they're sort of separately packed, and you can get the complete set for 20, though, now, which will have the 6 faction information. I wish Joe was here because I'd be able to help out in the problems that are going on in the other room. Which, unfortunately, I cannot because he's taking much longer time than I assumed he would be taking to take care of this. So, alright. So you get your factions, you have all your game cards, you have the rule book. There is a PDF version of the rule book available, which I will link in chat. Because that's good. And I will try to remember to link that down below in the when I upload this, just so people can see it. God, I would love to help out over it. What are you looking for? What you looking for?
I'm not sure.
Just show her Shimmer and Shine. Sorry about that. Where is Joe? So, God. Wait, there might have been movement. I think he's returning. He's coming back. We're not doomed. We're not doomed. So you have 5 action cards. You commit war, and you strike against each other using your 3 units. Get casuals, eliminations. There's a lot of there is a good number of rules to this game, actually, and some strategy. So I mean, it is a relatively complex game, which is interesting about it for something that sounds so simple.
Strategery.
We were talking about Wind-Up War, and the fact that you take one of 6 factions of toys, get 30 cards, and 6 units. You use 3 of those units, you choose a number of action cards, and basically play them out in order, and everybody flips them over at a time, and then you fight it out, and see the results of it, and the first to 3 victory points, or to be the last one with units standing, wins.
Again, I still think of the movie Toys with Robin Williams.
Oh, or Small Soldiers.
Yes.
Or Toy Story. All of these would fit into your, like, animated toys. Well, the toys with Robin Williams don't fit very well. I mean, they kind of just activated a bunch of them and had them do stuff, and they were not really.
But the wind-up factor.
Yeah.
All the ones he sent against the military things were wind-up toys.
Yeah, but I don't know if all of these are actually wind-up toys. Can you try to entertain for a second? I think there's someone that needs a timeout, it sounds like.
Is it you, Matt?
Someone funking their feet on the floor?
I think Matt needs a timeout. So, in that case, we're going to talk about Robin Williams now. This looks like a very interesting game. I haven't had a huge chance to go over everything, but it looks like you do get your bang for your buck. You get a lot of cards in this game, and I'm looking at price. Let's see. $14.49. So for $15, you get a crap ton of material.
Too bad about the owl. You hurt yourself.
It's nice to excuse me. It's nice that it's up to 6 players. And it's a relatively quick game, 15 to 30-minute playing time.
Yeah, that makes it very easy to do. That's an advantage.
I was also saying you get a lot of bang for your buck, it looks like, on this one, because it's $15.
I see it for 20 on their site, though. Maybe you saw it for sale somewhere.
Yeah, it was pre-order on Board Game Geek. It was $14.49.
Gotcha. Yeah, they've got it on sale for their site, their actual, like, the producer site for 20 for everything. That's not bad.
That's still not bad for what you get out of it, and it's nice to get a quick game that you can have a lot of players with.
Yes. And, yeah, it's something that you can quickly put together at 6 players, quick games, where you have, like, where you each get your own, like, little toy box, almost, you know? With, like, or faction packs or something, you know?
Yeah.
So it's kind of interesting. It has a good flavor to it, I think. Just cutesy enough. And in-depth enough that, I guess, you're still going to have to read through the rules, because it does look like... I mean, there's a little bit of complexity to the war itself.
And strategy!
And strategy. So it's good to know about that. I guess it's a lot of the specific cards, too. You might want to know certain things about them.
Well, yeah, you want to know what all the symbols mean and everything.
And all the special types of cards.
Yes.
Yeah. Very, very interesting. But it's only 12 pages, so I've seen much larger books, though, too. So,
yes.
Wind Up War is an interesting one I wanted to bring up because it actually came out last week, but I didn't have a chance to with all the topics we had. There was other more interesting things. So when I had a chance here of putting something in, because this week was a little slow news-wise.
Excuse me.
Mm-hmm. We're both, like, coughing it out. Must
We're
be something in
dying
there.
slowly.
Well, that's natural. All right. Well, why don't we move on to the last topic, just so we can kick this all out here. Fantasy Realms. So, this is a new, I guess card game is the best way to describe it. You're a ruler of faraway land, and each player is going to create the best card combos by making a series of draws and discards, and comboing some of these cards together, and it will make you have the mightiest realm. You might have a massive force of armies that you're like gonna like get rid of other cards, or maybe you like use things like mountains for shelter or for materials, jungles to protect various things too. That's the thing is because of the unique nature of it. No, they're not supposed to have the same realms very often. You know, it's like it's hard to get the same realm.
Yeah.
For 3 to 6 players, so you will need at least 3. Which I mean, that's not bad. That can be difficult to do sometimes, but it's not bad. You can choose to draw from your desk or...
your desk?
Deck. You can only have 7 cards, and you choose wisely, and the game ends when there are 10 cards in the discard area.
One thing I think is interesting, you can draw from the discard or your deck.
That's true. And I think that's one of the tricks of it is trying to build your best realm and still managing to sort of like you need to get to that 10 cards still in the discard.
Yeah, but you want to make sure before that 10 cards are up you have the most points.
Yeah. So it might be like you might want something from the discard, but that might give other people opportunities to draw a discard and end it on their turn when you're trying to build a combo or something.
Right.
So
the artwork makes me think of like old school D&D.
it does a little bit, yeah.
It's more on the basic side.
Yeah, I'll agree.
Not that it's bad, it's retro.
I feel it's colorful retro though, because you know it's a little more colorful than it would have been in basic D&D anyway.
Right, but I'm just saying the overall style.
Mm-hmm. And it's only okay, so it's $20. All right, I'll give you that. And it's only 53 cards, so I feel like you know the last game we were talking about, you got more cards out of it, but. You know, this one, it looks like the art's a little bit more adept than, like, a picture of a toy anyway, you know?
Yeah.
So, I mean, I guess you got a little bit more art.
Well, also, the cards actually have more printing on them and stuff. The other ones, it had symbols to represent what its power and everything is. Some of these, have specific things like Book of Changes, bonus. You may change the suit of one of the other cards. Its name, bonuses, and penalties remain the same.
Yeah.
So, there's more information on the cards, too. So there's more to the card than just a simple, okay, here's, a few numbers and some symbols, so, to reference everything with. This, has more information on them.
So it's a very simple game. It's very quick, and it's just trying to build up the best hand before you run it, before effectively time runs out.
Yes.
Simple as that. So I really like this game because it has like a cool element to it. It's you're building your own kingdom. That's always an interesting kind of concept, and I definitely like the idea of it. And it seems simple enough to easily pick up, and quick, which is always fun too. I think it's one of those things is like both these games, I think they have the advantage of being very quick games.
Yeah, this one's average 20-minute playing time.
Yeah, that's not long at all. Whew. Well, there's
now this one also though has a higher age suggestion. The other one was 8+. This one's 14+.
Well, the other one was more like kiddie with like toys and stuff. And
right.
This is more
this one's a little bit more adultish.
Yeah. Ooh, sorry. Excuse me. Ooh.
No excuse for you.
Need to stretch a little bit there. Alright. Excuse me again. Jeez.
Stop dying.
I can't help it. I for some reason I'm just dying today.
You have to live at least till 11 o'clock tonight.
At least, I guess. Oh.
Because we have our game later.
Yes, which we'll have to talk about just to figuring out stuff because we don't have a James.
Yes.
So, we will have to discuss that. Oh. What was I saying? I don't know. My head.
I don't know. I think that's about it for Fantasy Realms, though. I mean,
it's simple. It's cool. I like the setting for it just because it is just it is generic fantasy, which is to say something, but it's fantasy kingdom building in a way because it's a combo of cards representing your kingdom, which I mean is a little more unique, I guess, because most fantasy games are not based around building a kingdom.
yes.
And if you're looking for a game that's quick, not a bad price, it's got a lot of it's got, definitely infinite replayability.
Oh yeah.
I mean, it's what's the best combo of 7 cards each player can come out of. I mean, granted, it's 53 cards, which isn't a lot. So I mean, if you're playing 6 players, that means each would have 42, and there'd be 10 cards in discard, 1 card left. Yeah. So I mean, the chances of you getting the same kingdom twice is very slim. Very slim.
And then the cards are split up even further to like land, army.
Yeah. It depends on what you want to focus on. And your opening hand.
Well, and then there's also combinations. Like I was just looking at one set of cards, like 2 cards that would go together. Well, it's Cavern and Dwarvish Infantry.
Yeah.
Cavern gives you a +25 bonus with Dwarvish Infantry or Dragon and clears the penalty on any weather. And Dwarvish Infantry gives you a penalty of -2 for each other army. So that one you'd want to focus on dwarves. Or just have that army and that land and then build on other cards.
Yeah, that makes sense. No, I mean, this stuff... Yeah, go ahead.
So there seems to be also like leader cards, wizards, artifacts, and wild.
So there's definitely a lot of different types of cards which can help you in figuring out what you're building very quickly and efficiently. So which I guess is another level of the interest of it, is that you could put something together very unique. Very easily unique. Which is good. So, I mean, I'd recommend checking this one out. I think this is one of those ones that I take a look at it and I know it's already going to be fun. And that's the thing about it, is I can take a look at it and say, like, this will be fun. check it out. I definitely recommend this one. All right. Why don't we move on, though, to stories from the table. Now, we don't have any guests this week, so I don't know what kind of stories we want to share from the table that we already haven't talked about. Is there anything... I don't know if we got anything left over that's, like, really great that we haven't discussed between the two of us, unfortunately.
Let's ask the table.
Yeah.
Well, let's see. Can we think of anything that would go along with the meaning of life, since it is episode 42?
Space Adventures? A space adventure game, if we've had one.
Well, that would be the one that we currently have on pause.
Yeah, which we talked about, though. And there has to be, like, another space-based game that we've done between the two of us. Really? It's the only one?
I mean, we've visited space a little bit in the one game that we talked a lot about, though.
Yeah.
The moon.
Other than that,
I don't think we've really done a lot of space-based games.
I guess because we haven't tried a lot of other, like, really specialized systems that are space-based.
No.
I mean, I think I have a little of experience with it separate from you, but I'd have to remember what was going on there.
The most I could think of is, like, some random Star Trek games. Oh, we could talk about the really epic Star Trek Panic that we played.
Oh, God, yes. I mean, the one that... I still swear we lost it.
No,
and
we ended up winning at the very end.
I don't remember that.
We got to the point... It was the two of us. The only part of the ship still remaining was one of the nacelles.
And wasn't it on fire or something, too?
And it was on fire. And we managed to be able to put it out and rebuild a few enough parts of the ship to survive long enough to actually finish the missions we needed to. But we got to the point where the Enterprise was almost utterly destroyed, and we're just, like, hugging each other in a nacelle.
It was pretty bad. I do have to say that. It was fairly awful, the, like, experience we went through. We were losing a lot.
I would say a good 80% of that game, we could not even move the ship.
Yes, that seems accurate.
Because too much of the ship had been destroyed.
That seems incredibly accurate, unfortunately.
So we were pretty much sitting ducks trying to figure out how to complete missions without moving.
Yeah, I recall that we're trying to, like, push ourselves along without actually pushing ourselves along. It's like, so where are we?
It's like, we just need to collect these cards. We just need... And I think it was like, we just, like, pulled it out of our butts at the, like, close to the last second. And we both were just like, okay, we survived that somehow. But that was definitely an epic space adventure.
Yes.
And if you haven't played Star Trek Panic and you like Star Trek, or if you even just like Panic, I recommend it. It's an interesting combination of the two. It stays somewhat true to the original Panic, but has a lot more twists and things to do in it.
Yeah, and the character abilities were interesting, because weren't we switching characters too, or something like that?
Yeah, you can, like, a character after they use, can only use their ability a certain amount of times, and then you normally switch them out for another character.
And the fact is that the pot of enemies never empties, and you're supposed to complete missions in certain ways.
Yeah, that's the only way to win the game, is completing a certain amount of missions, and each mission has its own special things of how to complete it.
Mm-hmm.
So it's a longer game because of that, but it's definitely worth it. I really think it's an interesting twist on the original Panic that gives it, if you want a longer playing time, it definitely will give you that.
Yeah, I agree.
It's very unlikely that you're going to be able to defeat those missions very quickly at each one as you get them. You're going to fail missions along the way.
Yeah. And the fact is that you're probably not going to have a game like we did, because it lasted like 4 hours, because we were barely holding on, and pushing against the tide of destruction for so long, I think we lost like 2/3 of the deck of cards.
Yeah, that was the other thing, was we almost ran out of cards.
We were like losing so much. That was really because
when a section of the ship gets destroyed, you lose cards. Certain missions, if you don't complete them, you lose cards.
they're gone from your deck forever, from the draw deck.
Yeah, and you can't get them back. But yeah, that would be the epic space thing I could think of that we've done that we hadn't really touched on.
Mm-hmm. That was a good one. All right.
So do you have a good advice?
Question?
Yes.
I was trying to think of one just now for gaming stage advice. Sorry, chewing on something.
No chewing, only speaking aloud.
I'm sorry. I was a little hungry. Wanted a snack or something. It's a decent sized show, you know.
At least you're not hangry.
Mm-hmm, that's true.
Eat a Snickers.
I don't like Snickers.
Too bad.
It makes me angrier. Less hungry though. Punch the screen or something.
Have you ever? Here's a good one.
Oh, you got one. Bam.
Have you had a character that actually like had a true purpose in life?
Ooh.
Have you designed a character that had like a specific purpose in its life?
Why don't we evolve that a little bit into how you'd go about designing a character for a role-playing game that has a specific purpose, and we can mention the ones that we might have had. That's a tough one because I can remember a lot of characters I've had that, I mean, they've had goals but never like I would say a purpose. For a good example, we talk about I guess my first character in the first of the favorite games, Valinor, I would have called he had a purpose, but it was a dumb purpose because I came up with some kind of complex backstory about demon shards or something that he was questing to regain that I don't think I ever found any of. And the fact is, I could have done the same with less complexity, and I did not. And that was a problem with that character, is when you have like 5 pages of backstory, it's too much.
So maybe keep it more simple.
I could have had the same purpose of like reclaiming these like shards of something that relate to like, you know, like I think just if it's like my family line was cursed by a demon, it was imprisoned in this thing and the shards of it were shattered apart, and the only way to remove the curse though would be to reassemble the shards and fight the thing and defeat it in order to, you know, remove the said curse. But I think most people accepted the curse because I think my family were drow, and so it was a sort of curse that they could live with. And I was like, I'm good. I can't live with this. I might have been chaotic neutral, but I had like good tendencies. But it was still that, you know, like my upbringing, which kept me from being actually good or something. But see, I could have made that a lot simpler. I came up with a really complex that what I just said there could have been it. I had like paragraphs of complexity to it. When I talk about some of the other characters, Kale, Nathan, they didn't really have a purpose. They ended up with sort of like a goal in mind. Kale, explore the world. Nathan, to become a sailor/pirate and get out of his father's shadow. You know, those were goals, not purposes. I feel like I have created characters with purpose that I haven't had a chance to do a lot of. I had at one point in time made that merfolk cleric, where his purpose was to bring the joy of his deity to the people of the land. Which I think I made the joke that his deity was Gordon, the fisherman, the great traveler of land, who meets sea and land together and brings them together as one.
God. I'd say, for me, one of my more recent characters that kind of had a purpose/goal would have actually been in the Strahd game. with his backstory that he almost had killed his brother due to his wild nature of magic.
Mm-hmm.
And he became a hermit because of it, and he wanted to be able to learn how to restrain his magic and control it better so he could return confident to his people. Also, I'd say his more of a purpose would be as a protector. He really cherished lives of children.
Mm-hmm.
And wanted to protect them. Unfortunately, I'd say in both areas he failed. Since
Also,
he kept turning himself into random things like a blue sheep,
but
gave into temptation a little too much.
And that's one of those things too. Is like you can always say like there might be a purpose to them, but the question is, how much do they make? It's like when we talk about a purpose, like when we talk about backstory, it's very easy to add into the purpose. I think it's also bringing that purpose into the character, into the game, which again, like you said, he failed at it, which was shown by the actions he did in game. Like, I can say I have really had very few characters that have had a purpose based upon their backstory, based upon what I wanted, and actually pushed it forward in game. And that's one of those things that I think neither of us really have done as much. A purpose for your life is something very major to have as the thing, too. So oftentimes when we have a lot of these characters, we're trying to discover something. Because that's also a little easier to fit into any adventure when you're not putting a specific purpose. Right. Like when you have like a specific goal, a purpose in mind that they're actually physically pushing themselves towards, it can make it that they don't fit in with a certain game. Like, I could have a paladin that's trying to eliminate all mafia types in the universe. And if I go into an adventure in like a cavern or something, it's why the heck am I there? Or right. Like if I knew it was a city-based adventure and like whatever in the adventure either has us working with that said mafia or has it doing us something entirely else, why am I not going for that in the city? Even if the setting fits with what my character does, with what my character's abilities are. It's the question of why I'm not following that purpose. And I guess paladins are a lot easier because they are very purpose-driven to come up with a purpose and follow it. I think others is a little more difficult, but it's not like you can't. I think is another thing I'm going to say about it, is you can very efficiently come up with a purpose. It's, again, just putting it into in-game for your character.
Right. Well, like, the protection part of my character, he failed to save the one child.
Yeah.
With the hags. He failed to save, what's her name?
Irina.
Irina.
Mm-hmm.
He tried, to do those things. He just, unfortunately, never succeeded.
Yeah.
He basically taunted Strahd to his face to try to save Irina, and it did not work.
Well, I mean, the person that kind of shot Irina a couple of times with bows pissed him off more.
Yeah, and also the person who shot Irina also killed her, so...
Yeah.
That didn't help him trying to, succeed there either. But he did have a purpose. He did have, a reason to, an ultimate reason to exist. It's just, a lot of times, situations can turn on you. You might have a purpose in your own life, but doesn't mean you'll succeed at it. But I think it's an important thing to think about when building a character. Of, what do they want out of life? Why are they in this adventure in life in general?
Yeah. Well, I think that's the difference between, like, a goal. Like, you can easily come up with a goal, and it's just, like, somewhere in between the goal and the purpose is what your character wants to do. And and you don't technically need either. You could easily be a character that's sort of wandering through life a little bit and ends up in a situation. And as long as you've defined yourself as like, oh, I'm a good person that would interfere, or I'm the kind of person that would still still might go for a buck if someone's offering it.
I think it comes down to really to backstory. How much you consider that to be important.
Yeah.
And I try to have at least a relative backstory to a character, not just to be, I'm here. to have some kind of character to your character instead of just being, I'm generic fighter guy. I'm here to fight things.
Yes.
To have some nuance.
That's very true. A little bit of nuance helps, and this is a good way of looking at nuance. Because even if you say, like, you don't have a goal or a purpose, you're thinking about it then. And that's important. Because then you're also defining why your character might not have one of those. You know, saying, like, why you have this goal, why you have this purpose, why you don't have something is also, I think, just as important as coming up with it. Because it helps to define your backstory a little bit more. And that's going to be the key component to this a little bit.
To have character to your character.
Yep. All right, I think that's pretty good for today then. I think we'd had a pretty good time here. A pretty good show. Hopefully people enjoy it. Those of you that check out the VOD, please remember you can always join us next week at 1 p.m. Eastern Standard Time if you wish to, in chat. Talk with us if you want, things like that. Joe,
and also to like and subscribe.
Oh, yes, always like and subscribe. The channel itself, and you can follow us here at Twitch too, so you get like announcements of when I'm going live with everything from our RPG show, which I guess since it's only you and me, we'll just plug it together kind of thing.
Yeah, it's on hiatus right now, but
with
hopefully...
with Rachel stuff with her husband and having to temporarily move for like half a month or so, it's on hiatus. I was hoping to put together some things, but my family life, which has made it difficult to, keep perfect with the schedule, has also made it then difficult to put something new together. Well, it does take some work coming up with an RPG show, even if a one-shot RPG show, and at least, putting it together. Hence why, unfortunately, we've had less guests on the past couple of weeks, because I have gotten a few guests here and there, but probably haven't had as much time to book people and find new people or old people as I wanted to. So hopefully, since I've been sending out some more messages, we should have a few people over the next couple of weeks, and hopefully no more cancellations.
Yes.
Yeah.
And only a couple months to PAX Unplugged.
Yes, which I am planning something special for PAX Unplugged. I will announce it when we get near there. I'm not sure what I'm going to do. I might make it... so we can't really report there. Maybe I might arrange for special showing, like a special show or something from a location or something that I'll kind of figure out and come up with. I don't know. Like afterwards, like a report maybe after the event itself or in the evening. I'll come up with something.
Right. Well, we'll definitely try to stream some video there. Well, not stream, but take video there and put it up on your channel, I'm sure.
Yes, which unfortunately I will have to figure out how to do that best, because my phone takes terrible video but great audio, and my camera takes great video but terrible audio.
My phone takes decent both, and I also have a couple cameras, so we probably can work something out.
Yeah, that's what I figured out. We'll try to work something out that you have like some kind of recording together, or something rather that we can make something decent. Other than that, so we should be back hopefully not tomorrow, but the next week after that for Treasure Lost Legion. We'll let you know. If we are missing one more week, I will arrange for something special. I'll make sure to put the time to do something special so we don't miss another week. Video game live streams should be at whatever schedule I've been at right now. Something Sunday, Monday. I've been doing Fallout on Wednesdays. Maybe something Thursday. I'll figure it out. We will be here next week. I do have at least one guest right now. I'm trying to get a second one for next week. Anything else important? Other than that, just following the channel here, following us on YouTube, and if you want to show extra support, I do have a Patreon. I do also have the Discord channel, which I should start promoting a lot more, in case you want to get into discussions there. I think I've got the link down below for the Discord, but I will have to make sure I do. It's one of those things that...
And with Patreon, if you guys start, helping out that way, we'll be able to do more, like, specialty shows for, like, maybe certain games and stuff. It's, one-shots of RPGs that, we find very interesting, would love to do, but don't have the money to buy all the source material.
Yes, it's very true. One
So
shots.
if you... Sorry, go ahead.
Yes, one shots are some of the top ones to get. And some of the things, and definitely some of the rewards are really nice. From shout outs to if you want to be a guest on some of the shows and things like that. You know, it definitely has options. And so go ahead and check it out if you are interested. I guess that's everything, though.
What do I sell?
Other than
Yes.
background noise, because I tried to open up some information and, of course, to get something here at the last moment. So I guess, other than that, I guess it's the end of the show. I hope you guys had a great time, enjoyed the show and all. And if you're watching this on the VOD, please make sure, if you can, join us. We love to have people live in chat. So I have a great weekend. I'll see you some point during the week, hopefully, and we'll both see you here back next weekend for bigger, better show. You know, always. Bye, everyone.
Bye.